Christine talks to Bam Singhasaneh of Team Valkyrie and CrunchLabs about the power of education and engineering on this episode of Outside of the Box.
The main reason I love my job at CrunchLabs and the main reason I love doing combat robotics is actually the same reason. And it's just about spreading the love for engineering and spreading like the love for, just the design process in general.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Outside of the Box. And, it's really been quite a long time since I've talked at any length about BattleBots. And it really gave me the perfect opportunity with some of this YouTube content coming out to talk to a guest that I haven't had on my show that I've really wanted to talk to for a while, just because I think she's a super interesting person. And that's Bam from Team Valkyrie. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Super excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you. I personally, as a fan, was really excited to hear that there was some new BattleBots content coming out. Obviously, I think everybody knew that there were fights going on and that, BattleBots was taping them for something potentially. And, really glad to see that there's actually like new content that fans can go to and see these fights, which are pretty awesome fights. As a builder, was this something that you were really excited about? Because it has to be hard for you all as well to not have like that normal taping kind of thing, which was a constant year after year. And we've kind of not had that for a while.
For sure, yeah. Our team was super excited for face-offs. And it was things just worked out really well for us. So like the team, the robot was moving over to the West Coast, which is, it made things logistically much more doable. And like we were able to drive there as opposed to like having to deal with shipping logistics, which would have been a nightmare. We had spares from season 7, which made things much easier because we didn't have to like actually make new parts and made the turnaround much easier for us. There are multiple factors that made face-offs possible for us. Of course, our amazing sponsors, but also just like, the team was just super excited to be there. And yeah, and for me particularly, I had COVID for half of season 7. So I was not I was there, but I was really not there. I missed 4 of our first fights. And so I was super excited to be there for face-offs to like see more fights.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as builders, I think that most builders I know can agree. You want to fight, like you want to get as many fights as you can and be involved in as many fights as you can. So yeah, I thought that was super cool. Now, how did your team and yourself feel about the opponents, that you got put into that group with? Because it was certainly a very hard-hitting, like crazy group.
Yeah, for sure. So initially it wasn't gonna be, so we knew it was Orbitron and Tombstone. Initially it was not going to be Hypershock. Initially, I believe it was gonna be Vertigo. But then Hypershock got switched in within the last the few weeks ahead of the time. And it was like we were like, yeah, we fought them twice before and we lost pretty badly. So, we were pretty intimidating. We were pretty intimidated. I mean, like, Orbitron is kind of like a wild card. Like, we don't really know what's coming. Tombstone is, Tombstone. Like, nothing else needs to be said. It's a combination of being very scared and being very excited because we knew it was going to be good, like really good fights, and we knew it was going to be worth our time going there.
Yeah, definitely. What did you think about kind of seeing it as a finished product? Because I know, fans, of course, we know BattleBots fans have all sorts of different expectations. And like, is it like the normal show? No, but I thought that it was really entertaining. And I think BattleBots did an amazing job putting it together and having like kind of the behind the scenes in there a little bit more than what we usually get to see. I personally thought that was really cool as a fan, but I'm curious to get your take on that.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I also really liked it. When we were there, it was definitely much more relaxed. Like we showed up knowing exactly who we're fighting. We know we're doing one fight per day. We knew exactly like the number of parts and how we had a robot configured just for fighting Tombstone. So it was definitely much more relaxed than the regular season. And I think that showed in the episode as well, that like people were like, we had time to like socialize and talk to each other. And so it was really nice, and we're good friends with all the teams, and it was just like it was such a good time as a builder being there. And in terms of like how it showed up in the episode, it's hard to step back to I know it for me as a builder, since I knew everyone, it was good to see, and it was cool to like get to know um everybody some more through behind the scenes. But I don't know what it would be like if I didn't know BattleBots and saw it for the first time. But it's an answer. It's a question that I can't answer. So
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to more content and seeing more of these fights, because it's just
yeah,
always nice to see new fights, regardless of like anything else. And see
exactly.
people getting that stick time, getting to get their robots out there, because when we eventually get a season, which I still truly believe is going to happen at some point, then you have something to kind of build towards.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like, builders, we were there because we just loved fighting robots, and like we loved seeing each other. It's just we're there just because we want to be there. So the vibes were great.
Yeah, it certainly looked that
Yeah.
way. Now I want to talk about the smaller robots for just a minute, because obviously you've competed with Nightlight, which is a really cool robot as well. And I'm curious because I know that you are an alumni of Carnegie Mellon, and I don't know how much you've followed NHRL, but I've definitely noticed much more of a presence of robots from
Mhm.
Carnegie Mellon at NHRL, which I think is really cool to see the colleges getting involved. Obviously, like MIT didn't have a program for a while, really, and they're kind of getting back into things as well. And I just think that that's really fun to see, because obviously these folks are probably also going to college to learn to be engineers and do like other cool things like you have. So I'm curious to get your
Mhm.
perspective on that.
Yeah, I actually was not a part of Robo Club at CMU when I was there, but most of my friends are. And I also wish I was, thinking back, but I went back for my 5-year reunion 2 years ago, and I got to meet some people at Robo Club, and they showed me around like what they're working on with the robots. It's super exciting to see like more college programs starting to like pick up combat robotics, because I truly feel like it's such a great way to learn to do engineering. Like it's like project based. It's a good way to like collaborate with some people. There's like a real like you're going through iteration cycles so quickly, and like you're learning so much. I definitely can say that I learned more hands-on engineering from doing combat than from like taking any classes in school. So like I'm super happy to see like more schools kind of giving kids the opportunity to like build combat robots and fight, and like also at MIT as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now you were able to, take obviously what you learned in school and parlay that into a career with CrunchLabs, which I think is super cool. And I love that you were talking, about iterating and innovation and things like that, because I would imagine a lot of that is things that you do as a product designer in your job.
Mhm. For sure. Yeah. I think we like I think combat robotics is the perfect example of like learning through iteration. Like you bring a robot to an event each time, almost expecting it to fail. Like you want it to fail in a new way. And I think that's what defines for me a good fight. I've definitely had fights where my robot went in and came out like being untouched, like completely like can just throw it right into the box and it'll be fine. And versus another fight when it gets completely wrecked. And the better fight was the fight where I got wrecked, because now I know how I can like iterate on that and improve it for next time. And that is something that, that's a lesson that's applicable to like product design, to engineering altogether. It's like you're always trying to improve. You always are looking for ways in which you can like test your product in different ways, whether it be giving it to users or, in so many other ways, right? You're like prototyping, you're testing, you're iterating. So like that mindset is something that's so important. And I think doing combat has really like kind of nailed that into my brain.
Yeah, for sure. And really, like, I think one of the things that I love about a lot of what CrunchLabs does is, such a big emphasis on promoting STEM and getting kids interested in STEM. And I think that that's something that you really, appreciate about what you do, is inspiring kids. Talk a little bit about the importance of that, because there's so many things, and this is something that I talked to Carrie Byron about when she was on the show as well, is that there's so many things that are STEM that people maybe at first glance wouldn't think that that was STEM, but it expands so wide, as far as what would be considered STEM. And a lot of that is just comes down to things that cause you to innovate and be creative and come up with new ideas. So that was a long-winded question, but if you kind of can expand on that.
For sure, for sure. So yeah, the main reason I love my job at CrunchLabs and the main reason I love doing combat robotics is actually the same reason. And it's just about spreading the love for engineering and spreading like the love for, just the design process in general. And like the way I see my job is like, it's not just like about, hey, giving kids toys so that they have fun. It's more about inspiring them and motivating them. And I think what the thing that I'm conveying through like toys and like through like CrunchLabs videos and through all that is like not so much of like hard skills, not so much of like exactly like engineering concepts or anything. That's all secondary. It's all about like conveying the excitement and how cool engineering could be, and kind of like showing them how like kind of giving them the addiction to like the love of learning. And I feel like that's what captures it for me, is like you kind of before you can get someone to like really learn about something, you really need to get them motivated to learn. And like, and to do that, right, it's through like teaching them, like showing them how cool, like what can you do with the powers of engineering, right? What can you do through the power of design? And that can be done through many ways, and different people, get connect to engineering design in many ways. And so like whatever that, like the way you get into engineering, it's normally through like, oh, they found like a project that they feel like is exciting, and then they learn how they can get that done. But if the why isn't there, right, they're not going to stick with it for long. And so like through my work at CrunchLabs, but also through combat, because like I think it's something that naturally draws people in, whether they be kids or adult. Like they see the first time and they're like, whoa, that's cool. We like seeing sparks, right? And they kind of captures their attention. And they walk closer and they like, oh, start going to events. And then they're like, huh, all right, like these are robots. And then like they start learning about the community, they start meeting the people, then they start learning about the cool engineering behind it. And you kind of like slowly draw people in, and then, that's how people kind of get inspired and get drawn into engineering. So it's like, like I see these two, like both my hobby and my job, they're kind of like working towards the same mission. And that's why, I feel great doing both of these things, and they kind of work hand in hand.
Yeah, for sure. And something that you were talking about, I mean, one thing that I often, like to talk about as well is how you can take like a concept or something and basically gamify it, to kind of get that initial interest in there. And then once, the person starts learning about it, then they're actually learning. They're not playing a game. It's not like a toy. They're actually learning. And for example, I think like Lego is a really great tool for younger kids, especially learning the basic concepts of STEM. How can I make this, structure sound? They've got the engineering piece, they've got the creativity piece. So I think a lot of ways you can tie all of that together with a lot of the ways that people are doing these things.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the best kind of learning is when you don't know you're learning. It's when you don't expect to be learning or you don't feel like you're learning. That's mostly always the best kind of learning.
Exactly, exactly. Now, are there any, really cool projects that you've gotten to work on recently that you can talk about at all? I'm not sure how top secret things are at
Yeah,
CrunchLabs.
for sure. So I when I first joined, I worked on some two different build boxes. So that's a product that we currently have out in the market. So it's geared towards kids ages 8 to 12, and each box teaches a new engineering concept. But for the past 8 months, I've been working on a new project. And I cannot talk about that, but I can tell you that it's coming out in November, and I'm super excited about it. So it's something different, and I think it definitely adds to, the it's a new offering from CrunchLabs that makes it kind of more what should I say? It'll be for a new group of people, and I feel like I am excited that I am providing new opportunities for this group of people specifically. I cannot spoil more than that. But I've really poured my heart. I really poured my heart into this project, so I'm super excited for it.
Well, it definitely sounds exciting. I mean,
Yeah.
I love the passion that you have for what you're doing. I think it really shows, and it's important to love the thing that you're doing, because then that you put that into the final product, whatever that may
Mhm.
be.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you so much.
Yes, for sure. Is there anything that you want to plug as far as if people are interested in following things that you're doing, or even if they want to check out Crunch Labs? I mean, I would imagine most people know what Crunch Labs is, but just in case they don't.
Um, so let's see. I guess we can link my portfolio, maybe my Instagram. I mostly post kind of my combat robotics and CrunchLabs work on, just daily updates of photos of things I'm working on my desk or things like that on my Instagram. Yeah, I think once the new my new project launches in November, would appreciate some support on that. And yeah, I normally like show up on some CrunchLabs videos. So if you guys see me, just say hi. But also, on the side of combat, like our team, we're constantly fighting in the lower weight class robots. So I'll be bringing both Nightlight and Kablooey Tango to RCL later, and then we're also planning on going to June NHRL. So we're super excited for that. I haven't gone back to NHRL since August of 2023. So it's been a really long time. So since like, yeah, a few of our team members moved out to the West Coast. So it made it a little difficult to go there, but trying to go back now that I've iterated enough on Nightlight that I feel like I will happily pay to like kind of travel across the country for that. So yeah, really appreciate all the ongoing support for Team Valkyrie. I think we've gotten so much good support in the past few months, specifically after Faceoff's launch. So like, on behalf of the team, really, really appreciate all the support from the fans.
Yes, absolutely. I feel privileged to have gotten to cover Team Valkyrie through some big changes in the past, and continue to support, because I think it's a really cool robot, and I think that y'all have a really great team. So
Yeah, for sure. Like, our robot is fun. Like, it's so crazy. I think like I'm really scared of my own robot. Like, like both like all the like Nightlight, Kablooey is also scary. Like Valkyrie is the scariest thing, and I think when you're scared of your own robot, it's like a good sign. But also like we're constantly iterating on it. Like we're hopefully doing a complete redesign of Valkyrie in the future. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, and we also do lots of like outreach constantly, specifically, with our goal of kind of getting underrepresented groups into STEM. So it's been great. I think our team like is involved in a lot of spaces that like we had 2 team members earlier this weekend actually like mentoring teams at First Robotics, things like that. And so, it's a good time, and I think like every team member is kind of like really dedicated to the mission we have as a team. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of leading into that, like last question, like I told you, sometimes somebody will say something and it just makes me, kind of think of something. How important is to you from a representation standpoint, especially like being a woman in STEM? I know like even I'm STEM adjacent because I provide an outlet for the content, but I mean, it's something that I take very seriously because I know what it was like to grow up and not think that this space was something that was for me. And now you see like these all girls first teams and like really cool stuff like that. And I think that it's so important to teach people that if you want to do something, you can do it. And it doesn't matter what your background is or who you are or anything like that.
Yeah, Leanne and I and a lot of team members on our team, we really care about this. And it's like one of the main reasons we do BattleBots is, like we might not talk about it as much, but like it's like kind of like a show not tell kind of thing where we're just trying to put ourselves out there as much as possible and like show kids that, hey, you can do this too. And it's the same thing with what I do at work as well. It's just like we have videos and stuff where like we show up and like do fun things and show that, hey, it's like this is nothing, the sky's the limit for what you can do. And there are definitely struggles you experience as a women engineer, but I am optimistic about where things are headed. And like everyone, especially in the combat robotics community, is extremely inclusive. And I'm like super grateful to be part of the community, and they've been like super supportive of me. So yeah, like just only good things to say. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of the reasons why I love the combat robotics community so much. Is that the inclusivity and just like letting people know you can do kind of whatever you set your mind to. I think is a very cool thing. Well, if for anybody who's watching this, definitely continue following Team Valkyrie and all the cool things going on with BattleBots, and check out what CrunchLabs is doing if you haven't done that already, because I also think that is super cool. So please do that. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, follow, comment, all of those things with this channel as we continue to grow this awesome, STEM combat robotics community. Thank you, Bam, so much for joining me.
Of course.
It was
Thanks
a pleasure. And we'll see everybody next time on the show.